All righty, we're going to get started here. Thank you everyone for being here for Global Entrepreneurship Week Sacramento 2020, which is powered by Western Health Advantage. We're really excited to bring to you today a conversation about entrepreneurs made at Sac State. We really hope that they can share with you their life as an entrepreneur and the impact that these entrepreneurs are making in the community. We're really excited about the panelists that are here today, but I wanted to start by recognizing our partners that helped establish this program here today. So wanted to recognize our partners at the College of Continuing Education at Sacramento State, as well as the Sacramento State Alumni Association. It has been a great partnership, and we're really excited about the conversation that we've curated here for you today. So my name's Cameron Law, and I'm the Interim Executive Director of the Carlson Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And I also serve as the Sacramento organizer for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. For those of you that don't know, the Carlson Center serves as a regional hub and platform for providing approachable and accessible entrepreneurial education, community, and support to enable startup founders of all backgrounds to explore and launch their businesses. Our mission is to make innovation and entrepreneurship pervasive throughout the greater Sacramento region. And we have this clear vision that the Sacramento region becomes this premier hub of innovation and entrepreneurship. So to engage in our resources, you don't have to be a student or an alumni. If you are either of those, you definitely can engage in it. But if you're also someone in the community, all of our programs and resources are open to you. So in line with our anchor university at Sacramento State, we really want to anchor our support in the community and really help to mobilize new business creations and support scaling current business operations. We offer a variety of programs and resources along the entrepreneurial journey. They fall into three main categories, which are Discover, Build, and Launch. And this Global Entrepreneurship Week falls under what's called our Discover programs, which really aim to inspire you to take those next steps on those entrepreneurial ideas you've had and really create a variety of on-ramps into that entrepreneurial journey. As you'll know, most of an entrepreneur success is really about building that connectivity and finding the way that's most efficient from getting from point A to B. I imagine some of our entrepreneurs will speak to the power of community and the role that mentorship and individuals have played in their entrepreneurial success. And so we hope that this week provides you with some of those on-ramps, some of that inspiration to take those next steps on your idea. For those of you that don't know, Global Entrepreneurship Week is indeed global. Today, we joined over 180 countries around the world in this week-long celebration of innovation and entrepreneurship. It's filled with events, activities, pitch competitions, as well as networking opportunities to connect to other innovators and entrepreneurs. And for me, what I love most about this week is really getting a variety of different stakeholders in our entrepreneurial community together, whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, a faculty, a researcher, a startup champion, an investor, really coming together and celebrating the Sacramento region and the role innovation and entrepreneurship plays in it. And so I'm really thrilled about our panel discussion, one to bring to you entrepreneurs that are made at Sac State and really sharing their work in scaling companies in our region, but also the impact that they're having in mobilizing change in the Sacramento region. And so I'm going to now turn it over to Brian Bedford, who's the Associate Dean or one of the Associate Deans at the College of Continuing Education, and he'll be moderating our discussion today. So let's welcome Brian Bedford, and thank you for all the partnerships and really excited about this event. Take it away, Brian.
Thank you, Cameron. I want to welcome you all to Entrepreneurs Made at Sac State. Thank you all for joining us. Hoping to have an inspiring and interesting conversation with our panelists. We have about an hour together, and the process will be I'll ask a series of questions and allow the panelists to share their thoughts and perspectives on the questions. And then toward the end, I'd like to afford some time for any of our participants that would like to put some questions in the chat, and we'll take a few questions from the chat that you may have for the panelists. So I'll curb the conversation right around 12:45 or so to afford you an opportunity to put some questions in the chat. So with that, let's like to go ahead and get started. We have a wonderful group of panelists to join us. I want to thank you all for spending some time with us and sharing your stories with us. And to kick us off, let's just have the group kind of introduce yourself, if you will, share a little bit about your background. And then if you could share with the audience, how did your innovation or your work come about? So introduce a little bit about your background and then a little bit about how your work came about. And we'll start with Michael, and Michael, you can just punt it to the next person.
I was about to say good evening, but it's not good evening, Brian. It's still the morning time.
Still afternoon.
Right? It's
Exactly.
12:07. Must be the hunger. That's called. Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Lynch. I serve as the co-founder and CEO of IYT. Proud Hornet, class of 14, Masters of Public Policy. The why, Brian, right? It's really the why of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
That was the question. Yeah.
Yes.
For me, it was all about like need and ability to serve. I grew up in Sacramento, went to Valley High School in South Sac, a place where there's a lot of really talented young people, but also a place where there's not a lot of opportunity. Place where a lot of my friends who, despite being great communicators, hardworking, et cetera, didn't get an opportunity to access college. So in 2013, came back to my old high school, Valley High School, and we created a nonprofit called Improve Your Tomorrow with the intention of increasing the number of young men of color to get to and through college. And that started off with 17 young men. And then now we'll serve about 2,000 this year across 27 schools in 3 counties. So all about working to get more young men of color to and through college. And I'll kick it off to the famous Nicholas Hastings, another Valley High grad, I may add, by the way, too.
I knew you were going to do that. What's up, Mike? Hello, everybody. My name is Nicholas Hastings. I am the Executive Director of Square Root Academy, Executive Director of Lab 7 Co-working, and Executive Director of Scholars Playground, founder and co-founder of all of them. Where do we start here? Also went to Sac State, obviously made it Sac State panel, so that goes without saying. While I was there during that time, I studied mechanical engineering. So had kind of fun doing that, studied mechanical engineering, but really went towards the environmental engineering route upon graduation. So designing wastewater treatment plants, renewable energy systems, all up and down California and throughout the nation. It was fun while it lasted, but simultaneously, while I was really getting deeper into my engineering career, I found that there was a huge deficit in diverse engineers. I was only at one firm where there was a single woman present. I was only at one firm where I wasn't the only person of color. So I felt that the STEM industry should look as diverse as the city we live in and the nation we live in. So we created Square Root Academy, really, as Mike said, growing up in a community where there isn't necessarily a lack of brilliance or talent, but more so a lack of opportunity. So what we wanted to do is go ahead and connect that talent to the resources needed to actually be successful in the STEM realm while they are completing their K through 12 education and also beyond. So thank you for having me. And I guess I will kick it off to, let's see, who else? I want to pass it off to, I see Kelly. Is Kelly?
Well, Anthony or Sandy?
Anthony or Sandy. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No worries.
So let's pass it off to Sandy.
All right, Sandy.
Hi. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I think I graduated a little bit before the first 2 speakers from Sac State. So maybe, am I the senior here? Or I'm not sure. But thank you for including me. And my story is I went to Sac State. I actually started at Sierra College. I'm local, went to Bella Vista High School, went to Sierra College, transferred to Sac State, had actually no idea what I was going to study other than, my parents strongly encouraged me to get a degree. So I ended up in the business school, got a degree in marketing. And by the way, all that stuff they teach you, you actually are going to use later in life. So that's fun to figure out. Takes a while. So my career started, I worked for a big Fortune 200 company, got a lot of experience of how to do things and maybe how not to do things. I think working for a good company, especially for an entrepreneur, is a high recommendation because you'll see things that are brilliant and you'll see a lot of bureaucracy. So worked for a large company for 4 years. I was in sales for them. And then I moved to a company called Checkpoint, Electronic Article Surveillance. For those of you that don't know what that is, when you go into a store and it has a tag so you can't steal it. That's the beginning of electronic article surveillance, which is actually morphed into the whole concept. I think Amazon's kicked off some stores where you can just walk through a store and you don't have to check anything out. It's just when you walk through it, it scans your credit card. And of course, that will get rid of theft as we know it. So my third stage was also in retail. I went to work for a little startup company. So I worked for the large company, the medium company, and then a little startup company that I was their VP of sales and marketing. And one day they said, you know what, we don't like these people called customers. We want to be like Bill Gates. We want to create a software and develop a product, but we don't want to have any end users. So they basically kicked me out the door, and that's when our company was born. So my company was born of actually being fired and becoming a distributor for the company that developed the software. So
Thank you very much,
know your
Sandy.
path. Yes.
Thank you.
And it looks like we're headed to Anthony.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Sandy, and thanks, Cameron and Brian. Excited to be here. I'll disagree with Sandy. She looks like she's in her mid-20s. I'm the eldest statesman. I'm a 1992 graduate of Sacramento State, currently the CEO of a company called eScreen Logic that is a week away from pivoting to a company called Critelligent, which is providing commercial real estate intelligence before, during, and after the transaction in the CRE kind of marketplace. So graduated, moved up here from the Bay Area, went to Sac State, had a tremendous experience there. And this is when Sacramento was just really getting going 30 years ago. Did an internship at IBM and Dean Witter simultaneously down on Capitol Mall, and ultimately went to work for IBM for the first 6 years of my career. In 2000, founded a company called Customer Link here in Sacramento. Raised money through the local angels and VCs locally. We wound up selling that company to Intuit several years later. Went to work for a company called CoreLogic that we sold to First American. And was the chief revenue officer at First American for several years before I took this role a couple of years ago. So I think this is such an exciting time for entrepreneurship, not just here in Sacramento, but frankly in the world. This we're going to reimagine a lot of different industries as we sit here today. And in the world that I play in commercial real estate, when you think about office and retail and hospitality, different business models, different facility use cases, and entrepreneurialism will need to be kind of front and center. So excited to share that with you.
Oh, great stories. Thank you all. Appreciate that. So many of us that are thinking about going into business, we read some books or articles, and we hear about this thing, USP, unique selling proposition. As you think about your businesses, what's unique about what you provide to your members or your customers? For anyone who wants to take it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll try to take the first one. I think for us, so I founded like two companies. And for me, like entrepreneurship is very much like in the blood. So like my grandfather owned an upholstery shop on Compton Boulevard for 50 years. My dad like runs a real estate company. My uncle owns a construction company. Even my great grandfather in 1866 in Hinds County, Mississippi, right after slavery, he started a business. Like, so in the sense that it is like very much a part. Like, so for me, when it talks about like what's the unique selling proposition, is being able to solve like a pressing, continuous like community challenge. There's been this continuous educational achievement gap, right, since 1865, where people of color were not achieving as they could within an education space. Like, so for us at IYT, what we offer is a solution to be able to help to get more young men of color to and through college. Right, so I'll go to a school district. I say, hey, you have really bad A through G requirements. You're not graduating enough kids. You have you have high chronic absenteeism. You have high suspension. All of these things that show up on their dashboard and that show that they are not providing an equitable experience for young men of color. So I'll go to a school district. I say, hey, we can help you improve outcomes for young men of color, which they don't have an answer for, and we do.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Michael. So Anthony, do you curate the USP kind of, if that's real, right? Do you curate the USP first, or do you just have this abundance of enthusiasm and want to serve a community or a particular population and go? So as an entrepreneur, how does that happen?
I think when I looked at this particular role, the first thing I thought about is the size of the marketplace. So when you're thinking about starting a business, you got to get real clear with yourself what you're doing and why you're doing it. Whether that's starting it from scratch or coming in to run a small business and wanting to take it big. If the size of the total market is tens of millions or hundreds of millions, that means you got to go get a lot of share to be a wildly successful business. So the first piece that I look at is how big is the market that you're going to tackle. The second piece, I think the size of the market is the most important. The second piece is, can you surround yourself with the right leaders? It's sort of the bet on the jockey and get the right people on the bus. So you got a big market, the right leaders, developing the right product and sort of, as you say, the posture and differentiation of those solutions. I found that to be the easiest piece. We're in a market that's a $4 or $5 billion marketplace with a world-class leadership team. So I'm betting that those two things create then the downstream kind of product differentiation.
Thank you, Anthony. So, that makes me think of, kind of the due diligence that you would do before you started a business. And so you would understand kind of the environmental scan. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, asking yourself really why you doing this, because it's a little bit analogous with sort of climbing with no ropes, right? You got you often take a giant pay cut. You often put a lot of your own money in. Then you go get all your friends and family and other people to invest in a business, and you're climbing way up the flagpole. So you got to be crystal clear on what your intention is, and then you got to put your attention on it for a long time.
Fantastic. So Sandy, can you talk a little bit about, some of your due diligence that you may have done before you started your business, some of the environmental scan work that you may have done?
So ours was actually pretty easy because we worked for the developer of the company, and he kind of made the choice for us when he kicked us out the door, gave us a couple 286s, if you guys know what those are, computers, and one of his burned out old techs. So, we were sort of forced to start our own company. I will tell you that we're 27 years old, and I call him every Thanksgiving to thank him for doing that for us. So, we were already in the marketplace. We were in the inventory control point of sale software business already. And then, of course, we learned what other people were not doing. And one of the things that any of you that uses software knows that it's very hard to get any support sometimes when you have a technical problem. So what we have become famous for is service. We answer our phone. We actually have text 24/7. So our niche is service, something that's sort of been lost and actually is getting worse over the years in the technical space. And I agree with everything Anthony said. Obviously, there has to be a big marketplace. We're lucky because we get to sell all over the place, especially during COVID. Some of the states aren't locked down at the same level that California has been. So thank goodness for all those other places. But we are able to sell the product across the nation, and we do have some international clients too. But I think for us it was a lot simpler because we got kicked out the door, and that's how our company was born. But definitely there has to be a large enough space that you can play in.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sandy. So Nicholas, you talked earlier about kind of what you saw in the workplace, and you didn't see Black males in some of the positions that you thought that they should be in. You didn't see that kind of representation. And so I'm just curious to know, as you started to develop Square Root Academy, what kind of challenges did you have independent of some of the racial representation challenges? What other challenges did you have trying to stand up Square Root Academy?
Goodness, that's a big question, because there were as anyone on this panel can speak on right now, there's so many challenges just rooted in entrepreneurship. So the issues that we were kind of like trying to solve, it wasn't just for Black males. There was a large absence of color of any background, and also hardly any women at all. I think the numbers on a national level, it's about 7% African American, 6% Latin American, and about 20% women. So us, we wanted to actually spin that and make a positive change in a more forward, inclusive direction. So our program, we are for the most part, we serve pretty much minorities in Title I schools, underserved populations. And I'm proud to say that we serve about 42% little girls in our program. So some of the issues though, that we were facing was really interacting and kind of trying to help our community see a vision that they haven't seen before. And also, this is coming from, at that time when we started Square Root Academy, this is a mid-20s kid running around saying, hey, come let your kid come be with us so we can teach them things. So we really had to establish our credibility in what we were actually trying to do here, to our community members, as well as the people that were actually helping us to fulfill this mission. So there were several challenges, but I'm happy to say that I believe that we've been able to overcome many of them. When we first started off, we were serving about 52 kids, of course, no cost, in the communities that we hope to impact, just so we can make sure that we're truly providing access. So that was in about 2016, we're teaching 52 kids. Now we serve a little over 3,000 kids on an annual basis. So I'm really proud and happy of the growth and, just the agility of our team to really overcome those initial obstacles that we had when we first started this thing out.
Sure. So what would you say drove the growth? Because you said 52 to several thousand, I think you said 2,000 or 3,000, right? So what do you think drove that growth in a relatively short period of time?
The tenacity of my team.
Okay.
The tenacity of the team. Everyone that is here was hand selected, and they're really here for the mission and for the cause. So we've also done it in a way that was meeting a much needed need. We need more tech people. I believe that in the next 5 years, I think about 80% of the jobs are going to require a higher level of digital skills. So there is a huge need there. And if we're leaving out a population that can actually build that, we're doing ourselves a disservice as a workforce and as a nation if we do not capitalize on the brilliance of these communities.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Nicholas. That's helpful. So this is called Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's not called Global Business Persons Week. So that's would signal to me that there's something unique about being an entrepreneur. So I want to talk about that for a minute. How would you distinguish? This goes to you, Anthony. How would you distinguish entrepreneurs or entrepreneurships from, garden variety business people? Or is there a difference?
Yeah, I think that, the first thing that comes to mind for most people is this ability or the willingness to sort of take a risk that others won't, right? There's roles that you can go get and salaries and 40-hour week, kind of comfortable jobs. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But you want to have a vision to go build something wildly successful and inspire and make an impact, whether it's on a customer base or a community like, Nicholas and Michael are doing. I mean, you got to have a vision and you got to be willing to take a risk. And I think that goes back to, again, getting real clear on your attention, putting your attention on it, but then at the same time, being able to detach from the outcome, right? You're going to work 60, 78-hour weeks. You're going to be on balance for a period of time. You're going to have to get real good at raising capital and deploying capital. There's just a lot that goes into being an entrepreneur of a business that's going to really grow. And you got to be committed for a period of time, and you got to be willing to be out of balance. You got to be willing to take a risk and not get so caught up in ultimately the outcome that you're unable to make good decisions and manage along the way.
Sure. I think that's very real. You talked about those fears and taking those risks. Michael, so I'm sure there's probably someone sitting among us today that's probably on the verge of starting something or dealing with the anxiety and fears of starting a business. How would you suggest that you manage overcoming some of your fears and concern about starting a new business, especially doing some of the social justice type work that you're doing in terms of creating some equities? How did you conquer some of your anxiety and fears?
I think it's to build off of Anthony's point. Like you have to have a vision and believe in yourself. Above anything else, you have to have a vision and believe in yourself. When we first had the idea for IYT, I took it to my mentor. I was working in the state capitol, and he was my chief of staff. I said, "Hey, listen, like I had this idea to create this nonprofit to help other young brothers to get to and through college." And he was like, "Michael, it's not a good idea. Don't do it." But you have to. I had to be able to see something that was beyond the no. And to believe that, right, we got this idea, this problem that's not being solved. We think we have a solution for it. Let's go ahead and just build. With a nonprofit too, you're dependent on so many other people to do it. With a for-profit, you have a clear product that you can be able to sell. With a nonprofit, it's a different value proposition that you're that you're encouraging others to give to.
Mm-hmm. So you think mentorship was important, or did it play a role? Let me ask the question. Did mentorship play a role in you being able to overcome the fear, or did you just say, this is just something that I just have to push through by myself? I mean, how did you say, I'm going to do this anyway?
Yeah, yeah, definitely mentorship was important, right? Because for every no, there was a yes. I mean, for every no, right, that someone came to, there was just a process of just belief and faith that stuff was going to work out. Then it was crazy, just as we built and as we sort of just, like Nick sort of just like built a reputation about like what we do and why we do it. The resources came like and followed, and most importantly, again, pointing back to Anthony's point, the people, because you need people to be able to do this work, right? And the people sort of came and allowed us to grow.
Very good. Thank you. So Sandy, this is for you. So I want to touch on some of the keys of success of entrepreneurship. So we've heard Nicholas and Anthony and Michael talk about having a great team, doing an environmental scan, conquering fears, working super hard. In addition to those things, what do you think are some of the keys to being a successful entrepreneur?
Before I answer that, I want to know who Jamal is and why we should vote for him. Michael, you got to give us that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it. Well, so tomorrow we're having an event. It's our annual fall fundraiser, and the vote for Jamal is like a vote for college access. So he just represents the young people we serve, the brown and black boys we serve. So if you can, before attend the event, I'll drop the link in the box to support the event.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so what I think is, just really mirroring everything that Anthony and Nicholas have said already, but for us it was absolutely mentorship, having the most brilliant people you can find around you, being able to listen. Sometimes the younger you are, maybe the bigger your ego is. So being able to just really listen and learn from others, and we surrounded ourselves with a good CPA firm, good attorneys. My dad was also an entrepreneur, and he definitely was one of our number one mentors, and we tried to listen and learn from him. So I think it's, great people. I mean, we all know that really is the difference. Great people. We like to say the harder you work, the luckier you get. I don't think that anybody can go in and work a 40-hour week and really grow a business the way that you might want to. So I think you have to be willing to work hard, and be unbalanced, like Anthony said at the beginning. But it really gets down to hiring the greatest people you can, surrounding you with people that believe in what you're doing and have a similar work ethic, and that really believe in what I think we all know. You have to be passionate and believe in what you're doing. What we do is we service specialty retailers across the country. And we love the people we deal with. We deal with from mom and pop to several hundred stores, and it's we call them the last of the riverboat gamblers. I mean, they buy merchandise and they hope that we'll all buy it. So it's a fun industry, and I think that's another piece is you have to enjoy what you're doing, and I think we definitely have a great time in taking care of our clients.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sandy. All right, this one is for all of you. I'm gonna tee it up. We're gonna role play for a moment. So I've got all my funding. I've done my environmental scan. I'm prepared to work hard. I've conquered all my fears. Tomorrow is my first day. I'm doing a ribbon cutting tomorrow to open my new entrepreneurial venture. I want each of you to share with me one word of wisdom based upon your experience that you would give me before I turn the lights on tomorrow. Give me one word. Let's start with Nicholas.
Like legitimately a singular word?
Just give me one word. Just try to give me one thing you would say, Brian, I want you to take this with you tomorrow when you turn the lights on. You need to do, or you need to know this one thing. What is that? One word.
Integrity.
Integrity.
Integrity. You have to have integrity. Well, if we're doing one word, but if I'm allowed to expand it.
Sure, expand. Sure.
Your integrity is everything. Are you truly, especially in work, where you're giving back, are you truly doing and meeting the need that you claim you're meeting? Because if you're not, that almost adds more so to the problem, because there's a belief that a need is being met and a void is being filled when in fact it's not. So if it's believed that it's actually being met, no one's doing it, no one's going to look in that area anymore. So it's important to stay honest with what you're actually doing in order to be sure that you're making an impact, and also to impart that honesty on the same people that you're hoping to serve. Transparency and integrity is everything.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicholas. That's great. Let's go to Sandy. One word. And because Nicholas set the precedence, you get a minute or two to explain that one word. But give me one key word as a brand new entrepreneur opening tomorrow.
Well, I did love his word. I mean, integrity. I think that, having integrity and ethics is going to get you a long way. But I think for my word, I'm going to choose resilience. I think that, whatever you're going to do, it's going to be tough, and you have to be resilient, and you have to be not sensitive. I think that I tell that to my kids, the thing that's going to make you great is work ethic and resilience, grit. I know that maybe we have a generation now that seems to be very sensitive. I don't think that helps us at all. I think we have to always think that people are coming from a good place and learn from others. You can learn from, your startup retailer that you just sold to your girlfriend they have lunch with. So I think just being resilient and trying to be not too sensitive, just taking stuff in and being as objective as you can.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Sandy. Anthony, you're next. What do you think?
I'll give you the minute back, but I'll give you 3 words.
Okay.
Leadership requires followership. And if you can't rally the troops, you're not going to make it.
Oh, Anthony, I have to press into that a little bit. Talk to us about that statement, followership. What do you mean when you say to us followership?
In a small business, in any size business, but your title doesn't mean anything. Like, you lead by your person, not by your position. And if you can't create a vision and get people to rally around it and align everybody's day-to-day activities with that vision, and they see you taking extreme ownership and walking your talk, the whole thing falls apart. And I've watched it, got to see it several times. So leadership requires followership. And as a leader, just remember that you're never alone.
Entrepreneurship is about charting that new path, right? So that's a profound statement. Thank you for that, Anthony. All right, Michael. First day tomorrow for me. What do you got?
Man, Brian, they took all the good words. How you put me laugh, brother? Right? They took all the good words. I would just say vision, because past the day of excitement, there's going to come a point where you're going to have to be able to see beyond the challenge, and like, you have to keep working towards on a daily basis. Like, it goes along with what Sandy, Nick, and Anthony are talking about, being able to put in the time, right, to believe, have integrity. But yeah, like above anybody else, like in your org, you have to see where you want to go. If you can't see where you want to go, and you're not willing to have integrity and to be resilient and to be that phenomenal leader, you can't and probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that, Michael. All right, let's pivot to our Sac State heritage. What does it mean to be a proud Sac State alum? I mean, what does it mean to your work? What does it mean to you to be able to work in this community, be a proud Sac State graduate? We'll start with Sandy.
Let's see. What does it mean? Well, it's funny because I have 21-year-old twins that went to school here and are now, one's at University of Washington and one's at Rutgers in New Jersey. And it's both of them, when I went to their schools, maybe their junior year, when you have the counselor telling you about, SATs and ACTs and how they have to get in the very, very best college they possibly can. And they do this whole thing, and then people say, how many get into Ivies? What about this? How many get into these schools? And at the very end, each counselor usually whispers, and some of our kids go to Sac State. So, that's always my favorite part. It's like, I have met the most successful people in my lifetime. I'm talking people that are not the M word, but the B word, that went to Sac State. So what it means to me is that it's all about whatever you want to get out of it. And I do not believe that if you go to Harvard, you're going to be more successful than you go to Sac State. So what I think it means is you can create any destiny you want, and Sac State is a great school, and we're blessed to have it right down the street.
Thank you, Sandy. Nicholas, what do you think? How was being made at Sac State impacted you and or your work?
Sorry, you caught me eating chocolate a little bit.
No worries.
But I think it means me being from here makes the story more tangible when I'm talking to my kids. It makes it more real. You know, it's grew up here, and just like, you know, grew up going to school with Mike down in South Sac at Valley High. And there's not a whole lot of kids that are, you know, Black and brown that actually go to university or actually have even stepped foot on a university campus. So me having gone to Sac State, and that's something right in our city, I can give my scholars something tangible and something that they can actually aspire to that's in their very own backyard. Like, I can point to it and say, hey, I went there. I went to Sac State. I studied mechanical engineering there too. You can study and major in whatever you want. The opportunity is there. You just have to reach out and grab it. So that's kind of one of the impacts that it's had on me. There's a lot more to it, but I don't want to monopolize on the time here.
No, share with us a member. Go ahead. Espouse a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I think a lot of people growing up, you know, when I was growing up in the city, there was a lot of people that kind of wrote Sacramento off. So many people were so eager to say Sacramento's terrible, it's trash, it's this, that, and the third. But my question to them was, well, what are you doing to actually change that narrative? What are you staying to actually contribute towards something positive? And me being able to go to the university here, for one, it spread my connections to the city, because a lot of the time, sometimes when you live in one portion of the city, you stay just in that portion. So I grew up in South Sacramento, and I stayed just in South Sacramento. In going to Sac State, I got to meet people from, you know, different places, different parts of my region, and even beyond. So it kind of strengthened my connections and gave me a wider lens of the city that I'm actually living in. And then it also helped me kind of, so I can actually be able to point kids in the directions, different places, and understand my city a little bit better. We'll stop there for now, Brian.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nicholas. So Anthony, is your experience been similar to what Sandy and Nicholas have shared? Or
Yeah,
do you...
Sandy sort of nailed it. When you think about the talent available, I look at our CFO, our CAO, our chief revenue officer, our head of product, our head of innovation. Collectively, these guys took like $1 million in pay cuts to come here. Every single one of them a graduate of Sac State. You don't need to go and find people from Ivy League schools. These are local people that have been massively successful here. And when you look at right now, at this moment in the Sacramento region, it's not just the college, although what Dale and this gang are doing at Sac State, never been done before. What Troy Taylor and Chris Richardson are doing. We got a football team now, so that's good news. But never before has this region, in my opinion, had so much sort of success. And to Nicholas's point, go look at what's happened with Ice Block, thanks to Friedman. Go look at the rail yards, what's happening with Larry Kelly and his gang. Look at what Kevin Nagel's doing in town. There's a lot of excitement and pro-business and pro-growth in Sacramento. If you want to be in business and be an entrepreneur, there might not be a better place to do it in the country than right here, right now.
Yeah. I too grew up in Sacramento, and I still remember when I think the tallest building might have been 8 stories. And so to go away and to come back and be here for a while and just see the energy. I used to live in Oak Grove for a while too, but now I'm back in South Sacramento, and just to feel the energy and the growth and the change. I mean, you could almost feel the metamorphosis into this metroplex from this little 2-horse town to kind of this city, you know, and it's really a fantastic experience and a proud experience. So Michael, you got anything you want to add to that?
I think it's about opportunity. Yeah. Opportunity and access. I mean, like Sac State has a clear clear lineage of success. I mean, we have Dale Carson on the Zoom chat. I mean, we produce like some important, like some folks who have created like some tangible opportunities like for a lot of people. That's what like being made at Sac State for me. Like I did my master's at Sac State, and it was like pivotal, and to even help to create some of the foundations of what we do now, from the professors, like to my fellow classmates, to like President Nelson being a mentor, just like the phenomenal leadership that Sac State's leadership has invested in me, which has allowed me to invest in others. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without Sac State.
I appreciate that, Michael. That's a very good point. Again, I was saying earlier, I'm from Sac State, I'm Sacramento as well, and having an opportunity. I've only been with Sac State about 5 months, and it's just a phenomenal institution. The people really care about serving students, and I've worked at other higher educational institutions, and they have their strengths, but I will say one of the things that's really, really critical is the focus on the learners, and the people that I'm working with and talking to on a regular basis. That's the one thing that's central to what we're doing is focusing on the learners. And so I could see how you guys have these positive experiences and then talk about how that impacts your work. I could see that. Well, listen, I'm looking at the time, and I want to afford our participants, if you want to ask a question, now is a good time to put some questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to track them. I have one more question for our panelists. It's actually a two-part question for the panelists. And so again, if you want to put a question in the chat, I'll try to take a peek at that. This is the question for the panelists. So in 1 minute, I want you to share with the audience why your work is important. It's really that basic fundamental question, who cares? So everybody has a business. Well, why does it matter? Why is your work important? And then I want you to say at the very end how we might get in touch with you. I see there's a lot of space in the chat. You may have already put that in there, but if you haven't, go ahead and verbalize how somebody may reach out and get in contact with you if they want to talk more about entrepreneurship or your business. And we'll start this time with Sandy.
Okay, why is our work important?
Yes.
We are so lucky because we deal with people that are starting out and they're opening a little store, and we're their lifeblood. We're everything. If you are a retailer, whether you're brick and mortar, e-commerce, any combination, which is really how it's turned out, right? You buy at the store, return online, or vice versa. We're going to do that for you. So we do their inventory, their purchasing, their distribution, their accounting. So we're the lifeblood of a retailer's business. So we take that very, very seriously. And there's nothing more fun than to watch someone start out with one store and next thing you know, they have 15 or 30, or just watching them grow and knowing that you're helping them. I mean, during COVID, it was also nice to see that we were able to help them with free technical support, to help them extend service contracts, whatever we could do, because it's a really, really tough time for all of us, especially, people in the restaurant business or in the retail business. So I think it's important to us because we are actually in charge of making sure that they're going to be successful. And that's why we were able to be an essential business when COVID first hit. So we've never shut down at all. So yeah, that makes us pretty proud that we're able to help our folks in good and bad times.
All right. Are you willing to share any contact information with anybody?
100%. Yeah, and Nicholas, I was going to say maybe we can work on some interns together. We have a technical support division training. Love to have some of your STEM kids.
Did you already put something in the chat, Sandy? Or
No, I will absolutely. Anybody can contact me anytime. I'll give you my cell number.
Fantastic. All right, Michael, give us that elevator pitch. Why is the work that you do important? And then the second piece would be, how do we get in touch with you? But who cares about your work?
Yeah. Yesterday, I had a young man send me a screenshot of his college degree.
Nice.
First person in his family to graduate college. He probably moved about 8 to 10 times when he was in high school. That college degree forever changed his life. When I met him as a freshman, he had very little hope and aspirations for the future. At one point, I asked him, I was like, hey man, like, you a smart kid, why don't you get better grades? Right? He was like, Mike, if I got better grades, my mom would expect it every single semester. So his expectation like wasn't even based, like his expectation was fear of actually succeeding. But that young brother, when he sent me like a picture of his degree, I mean, what better feeling can you have as a mentor who invested a little bit in his life, and now you know that his kids' life are going to be better, and so and so, so and so. So the reason why our work is important because we help young men's lives forever change. A college degree is a continuous gateway to a better life, and I'll be happy to put my my email and cell in the chat.
Thank you, Michael. Boy, if that's not a reason for getting up in the morning and going to work, I'm not sure what is. You're changing lives. So thank you for sharing that. Anthony, 1 minute elevators pitch, why the work's important and how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, well, for Michael and for Nicholas, right? Those are passions. Like it's kind of like a school teacher or a firefighter or a nurse getting behind that. But I recently had to get our employee base, right? We provide due diligence solutions to the commercial real estate market. So I'd had to try to get everybody excited and passionate around that vision. If you think about it, you got a single family dwelling, a condo, and a duplex. That's where we all live. But every other property type is commercial real estate. So the store that you shop at, the church that you go to, the school that you're in, the golf course, the gym, go down the list. Everything is commercial real estate. And the before, during, and after the transaction, it's broken today. The bank's experience, the borrower's experience, the cost, there's a ton of disruption opportunity and efficiencies that can be brought to the commercial real estate transaction. And that's sort of what we're doing at East Green Logic.
Thank you, Anthony. How do folks get in touch with you?
I'm putting it in the chat right now. I'll put my cell and email right now.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. All right, Nicholas, bring us home. So it was that 1 minute pitch. And then how do we get in touch with you?
Good thing. Everyone else pitched so good, it's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'll give it a shot. So one thing, why our work is so important, it almost goes without saying to a degree here. Access to quality education and, the opportunity to actually succeed and be whatever you want, a chance to improve your quality of life. I believe that is not something that we should even question, but more so an understood, commonplace understanding that everyone should already have this. It is a belief that I believe all of us should hold, that we should have an equitable world where people should have access to aspire to be whatever they want to become. Without our kids actually being able to see that this is an opportunity for them, it's going to be a lot harder for them to actually transfer over into the STEM profession. You have touchscreen technology as a result of people of color. You have traffic lights as a result of people of color. You have some of the actual first space innovations created because of women. So I believe that diversity and inclusion is the true driver of innovation. So it's not a matter of if we need this, it is just a matter of how do we actually achieve it and get everyone else on board here.
Wow, Nicholas, thank you. I appreciate that. It's critical work, tough work too. It's not easy. Changing minds, changing lives, tough work. Good stuff. I'm looking in the chat and I haven't seen a question yet. I see some comments, but I don't see any question. Oh, you have a question there, Haley. I see you. Okay, hang on. Let me scroll back up and see if I can find it. Okay, Haley, I see it says, I have been looking at and thinking about Sacramento regional job market / economic. Is that your question, Haley? Or how about if you come off mute? Just come off mute and ask. Go ahead.
Hi. Thanks,
Hi.
Dr. Bedford. Hey, everybody. Awesome panel. So I have been looking at and thinking about Sacramento's economic development forecast over the next decade. And COVID is interesting. I guess what I'm wondering for our Sac State grads, in your opinion and in what you're doing, do you think that for our grads over the next decade, most of the job opportunities are going to be regional and place-based? Or do you think that we're going to start seeing more virtual opportunities for Sac State grads? And I think part of that is maybe also the way that people think and are, it's in Sacramento, I feel like we've been a place-based, regional-based job market. Thank
Who
you.
would you like to direct that to, Haley?
My first question is for Michael Lynch, because I know your work. I work in SASEEP. I report to Dr. Marceline Watson-Durbany. And I'm just, I'm in the EDD program at Sac State, and I'm thinking about, I really like what your program does. And yeah, I'm just kind of curious if you are expanding virtually or seeing opportunity for that.
Yeah, we are. I think like it has been, our partners like have recognized even more the value of our work and what we can do. And I'm a story person, Haley. So Brian, I'm taking 30 seconds to share a quick story. We had a young man at near Loma. They were doing this intervention meetings, and one of our team is on intervention meetings, and he had like 5 Fs, and like nobody could get a hold of him. He wasn't showing up to class, like et cetera. So one of our team members, he's in IYT, like drove out there like to his house, right, to talk with him. So he had the computer, he had internet access, but he didn't know how to log into the computer to get to class. So oftentimes, like we can give young people the tools, but a lot of them still need to sort of be shown like how to do it. So I say that to say, Haley, that like now I think more than ever, like school districts have recognized that they need partners, like to ensure like equity for young men of color. So for us, yeah, we're growing. I mean, I've been in talks with several school districts within the past like 2 months on expanding IYT.
Very nice. Very good. Thank you for responding to that, Michael. I think we have time for one more, and I see one in the chat from Walter. So I'm going to try to read this. Says, I've been a part of 7 startups. 3 have dramatically failed. 1 has gone on. 3 have succeeded, and 1 is in the process to be a big success. What was your best, most valuable failure? Let's go to Anthony.
Dang, that was like 5th grade. I don't remember that far ago. I'm kidding. I think it was inside of a large company. It was, kind of entrepreneurship inside of a $6 billion company. I was a chief revenue officer of, and we spent $155 million on an acquisition, and the buy plan was disastrous. It was the markets were changing, the financial crisis was just hitting, and it was hindsight, it was a really bad deal. The integration went bad, and it just sort of taught us that, on paper in a spreadsheet, things can make a lot of sense. But when you think about, culture and bringing organizations or entities together and what has to ultimately happen, and when you're doing acquisitions, there's a lot more than just a buy plan in dollars and cents.
Very nice. Good stuff, Anthony. Thank you very much. Well, thank you all. Please join me in thanking our wonderful panelists for spending an hour with us this afternoon and sharing their wisdom and experience and learnings. It was a really nice, diverse group. You guys, I want to thank you personally, because I think you guys gave us some different perspectives, some different kinds of work, and you all are wonderful representatives of the Sac State brand. So please continue to do your great work, and all the success to all of you. Really do appreciate it. With that, I want to turn it over to Jennifer Barber and Kelly Siefkin from our Alumni Association to share a few words.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, everyone. It's good to see you, and I'm so glad you could join us for this panel. I want to give a big shout out to our Hornet alumni panelists one more time. Woo! Thanks for representing. I'm Jennifer Barber, your Assistant Vice President of Alumni Relations, and we're so glad you came out today. I hope you have heard the news that the Alumni Association is now free to join. So I hope you'll take this moment to activate your membership and take a look at some of the upcoming events we still have on tap for the rest of the semester. So glad to see you. And with this, I'm going to pass it over to Kelly Siefkin.
Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for coming today. It was absolutely incredible. I'm very inspired. It's exciting to learn all that incredible work our alumni are doing. I wanted to just do a little shout out for the College of Continuing Education. We're co-hosting it today with the Alumni Association. And in case you're inspired and want to come back, everyone's welcome at the College of Continuing Education. We offer a certificate, a variety of programs. And I'd highly recommend you join the Alumni Association, because then you get a discount. So we wish you all the best. I'm going to drop in some information about the College of Continuing Education. I also want to make sure that you know that Cameron had to sneak off to his next opportunity. We are running Global Entrepreneurship Week events all week long. I'll put in the chat as well to the opportunity to join the next one that's an entrepreneurial mindset, loving the problem. So if you're available and just can't get enough of this great entrepreneurial discussion, we hope that you join us there.
All right. Thank you both. Well, before we say have a great rest of your afternoon, I just want to say hello to Dale Carson. I see you there. Thank you very much for all your work. I saw in the chat, we are all standing on your shoulders. Appreciate all you do for Sac State and people coming behind you. We really do appreciate your support and care in this work. So thank you very much. And with that, I want to say have a wonderful, fingers up. Exactly.
Fingers up.
Have a wonderful afternoon. And thank you all for joining us. And thank you again to our panelists. Be well.